I heard my first Iron Maiden track when I was 11. A year later, I picked up the guitar. I officially declared myself a metalhead, all because of Richie Blackmore, the father of hard rock. By 14, I listened to 1,000 metal bands. Then I heard AC/DC and I was blown away. I skipped their concert in my hometown. They weren't metal enough. Biggest mistake of my life. Then came Alexi Laiho and everything else faded. Still, it was rock that shaped me both as a keyboard and a guitar player. I'm still a metalhead because of rock. These days I teach and produce metal that was born from rock. Rock music is expressed through clean vocals. Most male rock singers are tenors because it's intended they sit over guitars in the mix, and they're often expressed in a higher pitch. That's the convention. Some even scream and they're famous for it. Sure, but those screams are still clean, controlled, often dead on pitch, like this one. In metal, screaming is a different thing. In certain subgenres, vocals aren't meant to hit any pitch. They're raw, distorted, and unfiltered. The goal isn't harmony, it's the expression of vocal intensity. Yeah, that's fair, but plenty of metal bands do stick with clean vocals. That's something both genres share. And who says rock singers can't really sing harsh? Brian Johnson hits these falsetto scream tones that sound way harsher than clean. Metal carved its own vocal identity. The line between us and rock runs much deeper. Though we have things in common, we developed a vocal technique so extreme it only fits inside metal. Listen to this. Can you imagine this vocal in rock? Okay, this is off limits in rock, that would sound ridiculous. But, let's take this vocal track and drop it into a classic rock groove, just to see what happens. To be fair, this wasn't terrible. But still, does this make any real sense? I mean, metal forged the growl as its own vocal language, and to make it work, you've got to embrace it within the right musical expression. The moment you hear growl or metal scream, there's no doubt, you're deep in metal territory. And it's so tied to metal that dropping it into any other genre just rips the sound out of context, just like you heard. Metal is the genre that pushed drumming virtuosity to the edge. We shattered the boundaries our ancestors set. Rock, on the other hand, leans on a steady 4/4 groove. It's about keeping the vibe alive, letting the instruments breathe and interact through that beat. Oh yeah. We don't need that kind of restraint. In metal, it's totally legit to blast through a song. Rhythmic overkill is a straight-on feature. That's why we invented blast beats. Check this out. Yo! That kind of hit it all together would sound like a joke in a rock song. We aim for a balance between energy and control. Groove simply needs space. The instruments have to breathe within the arrangement. That's why we don't beat those drums like animals. Animals? So what? We're animals. Who said that? Architects? Okay, good call. But still, Nico McBrain gave us... We doubled down on twin pedals, two-step beats. Essential, they light up the mosh pit. Whatever method we used to unleash hell, we used all the weapons in our arsenal. Groove is everything. It's the engine that keeps the song rolling like a machine that never stops. You can even write a rock song starting with just a drum loop and jamming over it, and sooner or later you'll land something meaningful over that simple that's all you need. Like I've always said, whatever rock music demonstrated, metal music escalated. That's who we are. That's what we do. Sure, distortion came before, but rock was the first to make it an expression. We built the sound around it, and it became the primary means of the guitar tone. We borrowed distortion from rock music and brought it into high-gain environment. Recording metal guitars is basically the dist channel on an amplifier and landing an additional overdrive pedal onto it for extra gain. That would be way too much for a rock song. We need a good gain control, not to crush everything else. Distortion is part of the tone, yeah, but we dial it just enough to give grit and not to obliterate the whole track. We always chase that sweet spot in the amount of gain. Listen. Not having enough distortion in a metal track. You could risk drifting into rock territory like in this last example. If you want a Metalhead to take your track seriously, you better mean business. And that means gain, saturation, tightness, bite. Now we do have gain control too. We don't want to overload it either. But the levels certainly are higher. Trust me, every true Metalhead out there knows exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I do know a couple of rock songs where guitarists cranked the gain so hard it crossed over into metal. Take Muse, for example. They're a rock band, right? But listen to their recent track Unraveling. That distortion overload after the verse lands straight into metal zone. So technically, yeah, sometimes the sheer sound of distortion is enough to tell rock and metal apart. Major. Well, we don't tolerate much of major key. Imagine a metal song in A major. How common is that? Given we are talking the heaviest genre music has to offer, we're just no good friends with bright sound. Major songs are so common in rock that if we cut them off, we lose about half of rock music as we know it, including some evergreen hits. So, here's some rock in E major. See? Nice smooth major rock groove. And by the way, there's this adorable dreamy harmony happening here. Dark Industry actually made a video about it. You have to check it out. You hear how bright this is. Minor keys are the only safe spot. They are a foundation to lay the entire harmonic structure on because of their natural dark appeal and suitable expressive character for metal. Sweet Child O' Mine, Highway to Hell, Bohemian Rhapsody, Hey Jude, Walk This Way, Rockin' All Over the World, A Jump by Van Halen, Walk of Life, Dire Straits, all absolute rock hits, all major songs. Now, not that we're on the bright side, no, we equally distribute the use of both key types for rock music. It's just that it doesn't matter. You know, the expression can be either bright or dark. It's all rock. I made a distinguished video on metal songs in major keys because they are so rare that they fall under exception. However, I wanted metalheads to be aware that even so, the phenomenon is still worth addressing. And it remains unquestionable that metal music lives in minor keys where it's deep dark. No, that stuff doesn't work. I mean, Richie Blackmore tried it. Just listen to that Battle Rages On. The intro riff uses Phrygian, and honestly, it sounds straight up metal. That one tone, man, instantly casts a dark shadow over music. Listen. So thanks to that one Phrygian tone, there was a heavy metal riff in a rock song. Most metal bands don't even know they're doing it. They stumble into this black magic while writing music.
And it's almost like a magical force pushing these things out that we didn't understand.
When I teach guitar or when bands reach out for songwriting aid, I always point out Phrygian as a possibility. I even remember this one guy saying, "Bro, thanks for making me conscious of this harmony, it's now present in my head." So that's how vital it is for a metalhead. They all need to know this. Tritones are even worse for rock music. I mean, what can we do with them? If you've seen that Dark Industry video on tritones, you know they were literally banned from church music. They called it the devil's interval for a reason. And rock just can't put that kind of tension into context. You know, you pull out the tritone against the tonic and you're harsh by design. There's no soft landing. Yeah, but who the hell needs soft landing? Just scatter tritones across your riffs and you've already built a darker world. You know how Anthrax wrote their #1 hit? By a burst of tritones. It's no secret, the very first metal song in history of genre, Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath, started with a tritone. This is how metal was born back in 1970. The first ever metal riff was a tritone. And we've been riding that wave of Phrygians and tritones ever since because those are our ultimate weapons. Rock is the music of rebellion. We are anti-establishment, we are freedom. We carry that endless drive that carved itself into generations. And we offer a beautiful musical experience that still hits hard. I'm a metalhead to the bone, and this channel proves it. If you're like me, hit that subscribe button. Dark Industry is your deep dive into metal, from theory and songwriting to technique, debate, and even Satanism. Whether you're here to learn, create, or evolve, this is where metal gets serious. We are here to stay black until something blacker comes along. We are here to stay heavy.